you'll want a block and a strap and a chair. If you have a yoga chair like this, it's okay if it has the back. We won't be going through it. A folding chair or any chair that has a flat back, and a blanket to put over the back of the chair. Those are the props you'll need: a block, a strap, a chair, and a blanket. If you don't have a yoga chair and you're in the mood for back bends, you can stick with the class. It's just a few times that we'll be using the chair, so you could I'll offer some alternatives, and you could just skip that part or do something else for that period of time. So back bends are interesting poses because they ask us to generate a lot of strength in the body while also without becoming rigid, and to be supple and pliant without losing a sense of internal structure and stability. And that works on both the physical level, the physics of the physical dynamics of the pose, and also emotionally. So we'll work on that interplay between where we are generating structural support and stability, and where we are allowing things to be a little bit more pliant and less rigid. So get yourself seated to start. Sit in a position that's comfortable for you and sit tall. Just for a moment, let your eyes close and shift your shoulders a little bit back. And let the shoulders drop down. It's not the same as pressing them down. Just allow them to soften away from the ears. And shift the weight of the head just slightly back, so the weight of the head is over the tailbone and not forward over the chest or pubic bone. Let your jaw relax, let the eyes close. Let your face relax and be expressionless. And then we'll chant the sound Om together one time. You can bring the hands together at the heart, or you can leave the hands as they are. Take a full breath in and out. And then another full breath in. So let's begin the practice. We'll start with some work lying down on the back. You'll want your strap and a block at hand, although we won't use it right away. So for the sake of demonstrating for this video, for your sake, I'm going to go this way on my neck lengthwise so you can see me. If you have a spot at the wall that you can put your feet against, so that the soles of the feet are flush with the wall, that is such a nice way to do this pose, and it doesn't make for great video, so I'm not going to do it on tape, but this would be, I highly recommend this if you have access to a place or at your house, the back of a door or a wall. In the meantime, have your block handy and your strap handy, and come down onto your back. Bend your knees, lift the hips a tiny little bit, and move the musculature and the flesh of the buttocks away from the lumbar spine, and extend the legs out so that the feet are flush with the wall, solid contact as though you're standing on the wall, or sort of Tadasana legs if you don't have access to a wall. Bend the right knee and draw it in towards your chest, and use the arms to gently persuade the leg a little closer to you, but not a lot of vigorous pulling. Draw the lower abdominal area just slightly in, let the area sort of hollow out to make room for the thigh to come near it. And then release, extend the right leg out straight. Draw the left knee in. And it's just sort of an energetic tidying of the abdominal area. Draw the left knee in and extend through the right leg, so the right leg still has some vigor. And if you have the wall, make a good contact between the right foot and the wall. Good, and then release, and again, bend both knees. Push into the feet, lift the hips a little, buttocks away from the lumbar spine, and extend the legs straight. Now take your strap and make a small loop with your strap, just the foot-sized loop, and put the right foot into the loop. And then hold the tail with both hands and extend your arms overhead, 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 overhead. And your arms may come to the floor, or you can see in my case the hands hit the blankets, that's fine. If your arms are up quite high, then actually you could put something under your arms to help support them. And then extend through the arms. Draw the triceps to the bone so the arms get straighter. Extend through the hands like you're really stretching the strap overhead, as though the strap were a TheraBand or was made of elastic. Draw the lower abdominal area just slightly in. And now the energy in the legs. This is not at first pass, it's easy to think that this is a situation where we're just simply using the arm to pull on that top leg. But it's more just a gentle directive. We're using that strap to give the foot some direction. Now see if you can really extend through the right foot into the strap. Stretch and reach like a vine growing up and reaching toward the sun. Extend through the right leg, so the right leg has energy and has this vector-like quality of reaching. And the left leg, if it's at the wall, is still making solid and reliable contact with the wall, or in my case with an imaginary wall. Bring the musculature of your right quadricep to the bone, and the musculature of the right calf muscles to the bone. Those actions combined should help give the leg more straightness and more structure. Good. Release. Bring the right leg down. Extend the right leg out straight. And switch sides. Put your left foot in the loop. Extend your arms overhead. Lower abdominal area is just energetically drawn toward you. Tricep towards the bone and towards the hands. And then turn these legs into vectors so they are carrying energy through the bring and both legs. The quadricep muscles at the front of the thigh toward the bone. From the front toward the bone. And the calf muscles from behind toward the bones. There is a sense that the feet are projecting. The legs are carrying energy all the way from deep in the abdominal area out through the feet. And the arms are carrying energy all the way from the chest out through toward the hands. This is a very expansive pose. Try to feel that as you stay in the pose, you can stay fresh, like a flower. If you have cut flowers in a vase, and you take good care and you trim the ends, they continue to expand and bloom for several days before they fade. So try to feel that you aren't fading a fading blossom here, but you're continuing to open and emerge as you stay in the pose. Good. Release. Now do the same thing again, but we're going to add the block. So right away we'll add a little bit of a back bending quality. So bend both knees If you're using a wall, you'll actually want to scoot a little bit closer to the wall. You'll figure it out. You'll just take a fuss or two. And so take your time with it. Push into your feet, lift the hips up a little, and take the block and put it under your pelvis, sort of down low, closer to the tailbone than the belt line, and extend your legs out straight. So those of you who have access to a wall for this, you want to feel still here that when you straighten the legs, the feet can be flush at the wall. If this is bothering your low back, well, one would be don't do it, and the other is to try to move the block a little bit closer toward the feet and not so close to the shoulders. That generally takes some, that lets the lumbar spine maintain some independence and length. And then we'll do same thing again. So this is a little more tricky to get into. Put your miniature loop on the right foot. Hold the tail of the strap with both hands, arms overhead. Extend the right leg up. And you might notice that the bottom leg, the left leg, sort of demonstrating here, wants to bend. Both legs want to bend because even this little block has changed things a lot. So see if you can really move those quadricep muscles toward the bone and the calves toward the bone. Draw the belly in, triceps toward the hands, and stay engaged and stay committed to an expansive sense of length so that your flowers are not fading too quickly. It's not force, but commitment that we're looking for. Good, and then release. Switch sides, extending the right leg out straight. Get the strap one or another, doesn't need to be your finest hour, onto the left foot. It's quite likely that when you have the block under your pelvis, you'll need to have your left leg a little further from you than you're used to. So don't take it as a hit to the ego, just take it as a source of investigation. Arms overhead. Draw the belly in so there's a sense of length and vitality in the midsection. Quadriceps to the bone, calf muscles to the bone. Vectorize the arms and legs. So there's energy moving through the limbs, through the midsection. It's a clear sense of directive. And then releasing. And then you can set your strap aside. We'll come back to it in a little bit. Bend both knees, push your feet in the floor, lift the hips up off the block. Move the block in side to side. Bring the upper back down, mid back, low back, pelvis. And just rest for a moment and then roll to your side and come to downward facing dog. Hands and feet about shoulder width apart, toes under, hips up and back. Here again, you can feel the musculature of the quadriceps coming back toward the femurs and just slightly gliding up. And the musculature of the calves coming to the shin bones and gliding down toward the, into and toward the balls of the feet. And then walk your hands and feet toward one another. You come to standing forward bend, Uttanasana. And as always, if it feels better for you to bend the knees, then by all means, go ahead and bend the knees. And if it's available and rewarding to straighten the legs, then go for it. Let the back of the neck lengthen. And then Urdhva Dhanurasana, hands to the hips. Extend the chest forward. Bring the shoulder blades a little bit towards each other, elbows a little bit towards each other. Again, you can bend the knees if that gives you more access to a sense of integrity in and along your spine. Long and active through the midsection. Long neck like a sort of overly confident turtle. Strong energy in the legs and push through the feet. Inhale and come up to standing. And come to standing in Shavasana, mountain pose. You can have your feet right together so the inner edges of the feet are touching, which is sort of classical form. Or you can have the feet a bit apart if that helps you feel more stable, more connected. And take a few breaths in Tadasana. Bring the whole abdominal area above and below the navel just slightly back. Think of that action that we did lying down where the energy of the buttocks went toward the heels. Put a little bend in your knees. Even sort of put your hands in your back pockets. And as you stand up, straighten legs and move the flesh of the buttocks down. Draw quadriceps back into the femurs from the front and the calf muscles slightly forward. And stand in Tadasana. All of these actions can be overdone, so you're just looking for the right seasoning. So it feels like a balanced flavor in your sort of neurological palate. We'll do some half sun salutations, just a few cycles. So from standing, inhale. Sweep the arms up and reach down through the legs and up through the arms as you extend. And exhale, dive forward, Uttanasana, draw down and in. Urdhva Dhanurasana. Inhale and come up as high as you need to take all the rounding out of your back. And then exhale and draw down and in again. Inhale all the way up to standing, rise up and reach up, and exhale, hands at the heart. Inhale, sweep the arms up as you anchor through the legs. Exhale, dive forward, draw down and in, bend the knees as needed. Inhale, chest forward, shoulders back. Exhale, draw down and in. Inhale, rise up and reach up. And exhale, hands at the heart. 3 more times at your own tempo. Bend the knees if that feels preferable in your body. Don't feel rushed, but when you're done with your 5th cycle of the half sun salutation, just be standing in Tadasana. Find a seat of stability. take a few breaths in Tadasana. And again, adjust the actions so that the experience feels vibrant and alert and engaging. Not dogmatic. You're not just trying to follow the rules. You're looking for your own relationship to the pose. Good, and then release. And get your strap again. We're going to use the strap for Utkatasana. So take your strap. You can undo that buckle. It's not a very big buckle, but you can undo it so that you just have a long strap that's sort of one long overcooked noodle. And then take the strap behind the chest. It goes across the mid-upper back. And extend the arms out in front. When you extend the arms out, take these lower frontal ribs slightly back, because this pose does have a tendency for the belly and the ribs to shoot forward. So we're just going to contain that tendency here. Buttocks down. And then walk your hands back, one little gripper, one hand's length. Take big breath in. And exhale, sit down in the hips as you raise the arms up. And really pull up through the arms. And feel the triceps traveling toward the hands and the biceps traveling toward the shoulders. Lift the back ribs up out of the low back and bring the shoulder blades down away from the neck. These actions contradict each other, so make your peace with that. Let them be in balance. Hold through the arms, keep the arms having vigor. This is a moment for vigor. Utkatasana has intensity in it. And then push in the feet and stand up, keep the arms up. Pull up, Urdhva Dhanurasana. Reach up through the arms. Strong legs. And then release. Good. Just a little imprinting into the arms and upper back, some of the energetic and muscular actions that we'll want later on when we get to Urdhva Dhanurasana. Turn lengthwise on your mat. We'll do few standing poses. You can use blocks if you like them and you have them, but it's not necessary. 2 big steps, step the feet out wide apart. Turn the right toes out and the left toes slightly in. Uttita Trikonasana. Inhale, arms out wide. Exhale, shift the hips to the left and stretch the right arm. Really move the tricep muscles away from the armpits and get that sense of reach. Really reach. And then bring your right hand to your right leg or to a block. Left hand, just for a moment, put it in your left back pocket and move the buttocks a bit away from the low back. Lift the chest and then extend the left arm up. You can look down at your right foot for a little, be a little more conservative with your neck. You can look straight ahead, or if it's available and doesn't impose struggle, you can look up. Strong and committed through the legs. Quadricep muscles toward the bone. Strong legs. Inhale, push up. Turn the right toes in, left toes out. Full breath in and exhale. Reach out with the left arm. Really reach. Mean it. And then bring your left hand to your left leg or to a block. Right hand in your back pocket. Just gently move the buttocks a little bit away from the belt line. And then extend the right arm up. Settle on a gaze and be in the pose. And then push through the legs. Inhale and come up. Turn the left toes in. And then 2 big steps. Step the feet together. And we'll do reverse triangle now. Urdhva Dhanurasana. I am going to suggest that you use a block even if you don't need a block. If you usually use a block and use it on low, you could try using it on tall. If you usually use a block on tall, you could try using 2 blocks. Or if you're just used to using your hand on leg, you move your leg a little higher up. All this is to say is to sort of regress your pose a little bit so you're not going quite so deeply into it, and give yourself a little bit more access into the rotation in the trunk and upper body. So, from standing, 2 big steps, set the feet wide apart, turn the left toes in, right toes out, and turn to face toward the right leg. Place your block on the outside of the right foot. Inhale your left arm up. So just here, engage some strength in the legs, really commit. Squeeze the musculature of the quadriceps to the bone, squeeze the musculature of the calves to the bone. Belly in, and extend the left tricep up. Take a big breath in, and exhale, and start to hinge forward. Shift the hips back and stretch your tricep forward. Think of going forward more than going down, and then bring your right hand to the block. Big breath in and exhale and twist to the left. And then extend your left arm up. Now think of this as the legs fertilizing the chest and upper back. Keep trying to take tension out of the upper back and keep trying to add commitment into the legs. Good. Strong legs. Inhale and come up. Turn the right toes in, left toes out, and place your block on the outside of the left foot. Inhale the right arm up. Strong legs. Long and active through the midsection. Stretch the right tricep up, right bicep down. Big breath in. And exhale, hinge forward, reach across your room. Bring your right hand to your block. Big breath in. Exhale, twisting to the left. Extend the left arm up. The upper back, the area around the chest and the heart, is an area where we develop armor, and then we feel protected and we maintain it at all costs. But a great many of these poses ask us to be much more supple and pliant in that area. So the strength needs to come from elsewhere in the body. Strong legs. Inhale and come back up. And then scoot the feet a little wider apart. Prasarita Padottanasana. Hands on the hips. Inhale, lift your chest up. Get long through the waist. Lift the chest, lift the gaze up, and then exhale and hinge forward. And bring your hands to the floor or to a block. Be in the first expression of the pose where the back is not rounded or even resembling more of a back bend. Move the shoulders away from the ears so your neck has a sudden spontaneous feeling of being longer. Move the hips back away from the waist so the waist has a sudden feeling of being longer. Move the upper back move the back ribs toward the back of the head. Like when you had that strap on your back and you're pulling the arms overhead at Utkatasana, move the skin of the back ribs toward the nape of the neck and move the shoulders away from the neck. Strong legs, strong belly. And strong doesn't mean, unrelenting or rigid. Again, we're looking for a feeling of commitment, longevity in the actions. Hands back to the hips. Inhale, push up. And big step, step the feet together. Be in Tadasana. Take a few breaths here. In Tadasana, you can feel sort of the aftertaste, the lingering resonance of the poses you've just done. And then Parshva Konasana. Again, 2 big steps wide apart. Turn the right toes out, left toes just slightly in. Inhale your arms out wide. Exhale, bend in the right knee and reach. Give and feel that moment of extension of the tricep. You can either bring your forearm to your knee or your hand to the block. Now, left hand on the left butt. Really move the buttocks towards that back foot. Move the back ribs towards the crown of your head. So the feeling is one of elongation in the low back and a gentle consolidation in the abdominal area. Stretch the left arm overhead, tricep toward the hand, bicep toward the shoulder. All these little vectors, we're just sort of tapping into these little traffic flows in the body and just trying to be like one of those cool people who stands in the middle of a traffic circle in a starched outfit and directs people. See if you can locate the hamstrings on the back of your left thigh and draw them away from the knee toward the sitting bone. Even as the quadricep muscles on the front of the left thigh come toward the bone. Good. Inhale, come all the way up. Switch the orientation of the feet. Move your block if you're using a block. Inhale, arms out wide. Exhale, bend the left knee. Give a good hearty reach. Put some feeling into it. And either left elbow to the left knee or left hand to the block. Right hand on your buttocks in your back pocket. Just gently encourage the buttocks to move away from the lumbar spine toward that back heel. And then the back ribs, like when you had the strap overhead, travel away from the lumbar spine and toward the hand, stretching the right hand overhead. Tricep toward the fingertips, bicep toward the shoulder. All of these actions are trying to come together to create a sense of balance, like when the instruments in a symphony are well calibrated. No one is dominant. Maybe they have their little moments, their solos. But collectively as a whole, no one instrument or no one part of the orchestra is wholly dominant. Now see if you can find the musculature on the back, right hamstrings, and draw the hamstring muscles up towards the right sitting bone. Get a slight sense of lift in the back of the thigh. Inhale, push up, turn the left toes in, and big step, feet together, take a few breaths in, Tadasana. Good, and then come to downward facing dog, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Even here in downward dog, see if you can get this feeling of the triceps moving toward the hands, and the biceps are sort of making eyes at the shoulders.
If you think about that action that we did with the strap behind the back, pulling up, see if you can move the skin of your back ribs toward the wrists so the back ribs add their momentum to the weight bearing in the hands. And the shoulder blades add their momentum to the lifting of the hips. Good, and then release down to your knees. Another good way to feel that is by actually grabbing the edges of your sticky mat. So we'll try that, which is to reach your hands to the edges of your mat and grab a handful of the substance of your mat. Turn your toes under and come again into downward dog. And this time really try to actually literally try in a totally non-metaphoric way. Try to stretch your sticky mat forward and apart. Really pull on it. And that should help you put more deliberate sort of vector quality into the arms. And, not coincidentally, get you a much stronger sense of really bearing weight into the legs. So this strong and deliberate push through the arms results in a very stabilizing action down into the legs. Good. And then release. And come to sitting for a moment. So we'll do some Sphinx Pose, and then we'll do a little lateral Sphinx. And the idea here is to really start to get some movement into the upper back, thoracic spine. You don't need to worry how far you go or like sort of divorce yourself from the aesthetics of it. Aesthetics are nice and can be emotionally rewarding. I'm not anti-aesthetics per se, but in this case, we're really looking for a felt experience of making felt contact internally with what's happening sort of behind the sternum, in the sternum area of the spine. So you want to feel sort of from here to here, from below the chest to the pit of the throat, but in the spinal column, what's happening in that part of the back and how much can you elicit a sense of responsiveness in that part of your back. So come down onto your abdomen and prop up onto your forearms. So this is what makes it look like the Sphinx. Spread your fingers a little, put a little feline energy into it just for fun. I have my feet about hip width apart. I have broad hips, so that helps me. If your feet naturally wanted to be closer together, that's fine. Now point your toes so the soles of the feet are exposed to the ceiling and the toenails are in contact with your sticky mat. And push the feet down so the knee's firm and move the buttocks toward the tailbone so that the low back feels a little longer and the abdominal muscles feel slightly engaged. Now sort of slump down a little, move your shoulders back and then pull the shoulder blades down the body and swoop the back ribs up and lift your chest. Think of like a squirrel scurrying up a tree and see if you can scurry the energy up your spine through the mid-back toward the roof of the mouth. Shoulders back, shoulder blades down. The shoulder blades give their momentum to the elbows and to the tailbone and buttocks. The back rib gives its momentum to the neck, roof of the mouth, sense of lift. Draw the belly in. Good. And then release for a moment. We'll do it again in a moment. Bring your head down. Turn your head to one side. If you think of an asana as a sort of small economy, come back up into your elbows. There's a lot of loaning and borrowing going on. And we want to look for the actions that are affiliating with one another, helping to provide a grounding or more conservative action. And then we can look for the actions that are working together to give a more progressive sense of propulsion into the pose. And what works is when those forces are at large balanced within the asana. So Again, being on your elbows, spread your fingers, give a kind of a quality grip with your fingertips. Slump down a little. Push the tops of the feet in the floor, tone your knees. Buttocks toward the heels, hamstrings towards the sitting bones. Now, shoulders back. Pull the shoulder blades down, pull the heart forward, through, and up. Feel the neck getting super long and scurry, scurry, scurry. Suck the energy of the back ribs up. The skin in the mid-back travels up away from the low back. And the skin of the shoulder blades descends. And when those two currents meet, they send the heart forward. Stay strong in the legs. Keep bringing the quadriceps toward the bone. Calf muscles toward the bone. And see if you can now suck the hamstrings towards the sitting bone. Neck should just feel very long and regal. Good. Release. Come down and rest for a moment. You can rest on your forehead, or you can turn your head the other way. Good, and then we'll do Bhujangasana, Cobra Pose. All these cues, these little vectors, if you can find those currents in the body, then find them and tap into them. I don't mean to be implying that these are the only currents available or the correct currents to tap into, that they're sort of, we can be infinitely creative with the routes that we trace inside the poses and inside our experience. There are so many choices. So this is just what's coming up today. So Bhujangasana, Cobra Pose. Same basic principle, but instead of having your forearms on the ground, have your hands on the ground alongside your chest, or maybe even a little closer to your rib cage. Point your feet so the soles of the feet are exposed to the ceiling. Press the feet into the floor so the knees come off the floor. Move the buttocks toward the heels, away from the low back, so that sort of presses the pubic bone into the floor and engages the musculature of the buttocks. Now lift the hands off the floor, take full breath in and exhale and lift up as high as you can without the hands in contact with the floor. Feel the skin on the upper back where that strap was at the very beginning, and see if you can lift yourself up a little higher. Shoulder blades down. Pull the shoulder blades towards your elbow tips. Now plant the hands, grip, make your feline grippers, and add a little push, and just push yourself 2 to 3 inches higher. Enough that you're using the hands to teach the musculature of the back to engage with more integrity, rather than using the arms to take over entirely. Strong in the belly, strong in the buttocks. Now see if you can suck your hamstrings towards the sitting bones. Scurry, scurry, scurry the skin of the mid-back up, and then release down. Rest for a moment. You may have guessed that we would do it again, and we are going to do it again. So, forehead on the ground, hands alongside the chest or ribs, but float them. Push the tops of the feet in the floor so the knees are firm. Buttocks away from the low back. Soften your breath, soften your inner landscape. Take full breath in. And exhale and lift up as high as you can, not using the hands. It's fairly humbling, honestly. So just accept this graceful lesson in humility. Strong buttocks, pull the hamstrings towards the sitting bones, buttocks towards the sitting bones. And then scoop the skin of the upper back up, shoulder blades down. Plant the hands, push a little higher. This isn't, your most amazing looking Cobra Pose you've ever done, but you're really looking to feel and make conscious contact with the back. Hamstrings toward the sitting bones, buttocks towards the sitting bones. Back ribs up, shoulder blades down, and then release. Rest for a moment.
push up. Come up to sitting. Once we were in Hawaii, and we went to this place where when you look on a map of the world and you look at the oceans, which is most of the world, and you see those little arrows, and they're in the oceans, little blue arrows, and they're showing the direction of the sort of global currents in the ocean. There's a place you can go in Hawaii where two of those big global currents come together and meet and go out away from land. It was quite an experience to see just like the momentum of a huge global flow of water coming from one direction and the momentum of another global flow of water coming and then meeting. And that energy has to keep moving. Energy likes to keep moving. So there it came and it kept moving and it went out away from us as we stood on the shore. So we're sort of bringing the energy of the hamstrings and then the energy of the buttocks, and they meet. And it has to go somewhere, and in this case, we're hoping for it to go forward. And the energy of the upper back rises, and the energy of the shoulder blade descends, and it has to meet, and we're hoping for it to go forward. So we can get more forward expanse through an increased sense of active consolidation and more intelligent traffic flow in the back body. So we'll do Chatush Padasana now, and this is a pose where you grab your ankles. So you have a few choices if you aren't an ankle grabber. So I'll show you a couple options, and then you can see what works for you. So choice number one is to lie on your back and grab your ankles, bring the feet down. It's okay if if your heels aren't quite down, but when you come up into the pose, you should be able to eventually set the heels down. So from here, I would push into the feet, lift the hips up, bring my shoulder blades closer together, and be in the pose. If that is not quite available, you can also, a nice variation is to turn your palms up. Sometimes you can kind of grab your ankle, you can touch your ankles, but you don't get a meaningful grip, and you need that in this pose. So you can put the palms up and step on your own hands. And that's a great variation. It gives you you still really pin the hands down. It gives you a good sense of the power of the legs that this pose asks for. And then if you still can't reach, sometimes that's mobility, sometimes it's the length of your own proportions. You can also put a strap across the ankles and lift up in that way. So pick a variation that works for you. I'm going to pull my pants up so I can get a good grip on my actual skin. Those of you who are grabbing your ankles, now put your thumb next to your index finger so it's on the outside of your ankle, shin, and not sneaking around the inside. Take full breath in and exhale, lift the hips up. Squirm your shoulder blades together so they come toward one another. And now push into the feet, really push. Push into the feet and suck your hamstrings up, away from the floor and toward the sitting bones. Suck the skin of the mid-back, away from the low back. Lift the hips. Pull the musculature of the quadriceps toward the bone, away from the ceiling, like you've got someone heavy standing on your thighs. And lift the hamstrings up into that resistance and pull the quadriceps down. So you're basically putting your legs into a panino press. And then when you compress the energy like that, it goes laterally, travels laterally toward the chest, toward the feet. Nowhere to go but out. Good. Release down. So it's kind of like when you take a bite of a peanut butter and jelly and the jelly goes squirting out the sides, or jelly donut. When we can bring the energy from the top thigh down and from the bottom thigh up, the energy travels laterally. So we'll try it again. You may just get like a faint trace of that action. But if you can find that, even a faint trace is something to follow. Again. Catch the ankles, step on your palms, use a strap. Push into the feet, hips up. Move your shoulder blades Right shoulder towards the spine, left shoulder towards the spine. That helps facilitate opening in the chest. Now this is a legs pose, so push into the legs. Suck your hamstrings up and pull the hamstrings towards the sitting bones, away from the pits of the knees. Suck your quadriceps down and toward the knees so you start smearing your peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Lift the hips, lift the chest. Good, and then release down. Rest for a moment. I love this pose as a predecessor to full back bend or Urdhva Dhanurasana because it gives a feeling of how the legs create the pose. We'll do it one more time and you'll feel, I hope you'll feel, that the legs are working quite hard. And if you pay attention, the back is bending, the upper back is bending, but the upper back is not actually working. So in this pose, the upper back is the recipient of the movement and the legs are the donator or the generator of the movement. So let your upper back soften, receive the pose, and let your legs rise to the occasion and offer the pose. One last time. Grab your ankles, step on your palms, use the strap. Feet down, push into the floor, hips up. Squirm your shoulder blades towards the spine. And now, generate the pose. Use your legs. Commit to strong, steady actions with the legs. And feel the chest is really open here, but the chest is not opening itself. Think back to Cobra Pose when you lifted the chest up and you could feel all those muscles in the back working hard. That's not what you're feeling now. Now you're feeling the legs working. Hamstrings up, quadriceps down, smush your pineal press, and then release. Rest for a moment. Good. And then roll to your side. And now we'll try Urdhva Dhanurasana with the chair. So I'm going to move the camera. You may also need to move so you have your chair and access to the wall. So when I do this pose, I like to have a blanket over the back of the chair. You can also use a folded sticky mat. It's just so that the metal chair isn't digging right into your body. So this is a great way to work on Urdhva Dhanurasana. I learned this a million years ago from a YouTube video, and I've enjoyed working on it and teaching it ever since then. I wish that I knew the name of the person on YouTube I learned it from. The first thing is that you want to be not too close to the wall. It's a bit surprising how far you want to be. I always describe it as like you should have to turn and reach a little. So it's a little Art Nouveau or like a little, romantic drama. You should have to turn a little to reach, and that's about the distance. If you can just turn and touch the wall, boop, like that, it's probably a little too close. And then turn yourself around in your chair, sit normally in your chair, and stick your tush all the way back in the chair like a falafel into a pita. Really get it back in there. And now this is so important. I always emphasize this when I teach this in classes. The heels of the foot are on the chair. The balls of the foot are on the ground. The thing is, the heels hold the chair down. So in class, I always say it out loud, where are the heels? And I make everyone say, on the chair. If you're doing this pose along with me today and you feel the chair is unstable, it's because you aren't holding the chair down with the energy of your heels. This is a good action to learn for doing Urdhva Dhanurasana without the chair. So now walk your hands back and hook your thumbs on the sides of your chair and lean back a little. It doesn't matter where the chair is hitting your back. It'll depend on how tall you are. It's sufficient. Move your shoulders away from the chest and toward the elbow tips.
and lift the chest up so you get a good boost in the chest. Draw the belly in. Now push your heels into the chair, lift the hips up, move the head back, and reach back to the wall. Now push into the wall like you've got the strap. Push your heels into the chair, suck your hamstrings up and towards the sitting bones. Look down, look back. If you can walk your hands down a little, walk your hands down. Now here's the thing, we aren't just reaching through the hands, we are pushing through the hands. Push through the arms, push through the heels. Urdhva Dhanurasana is a pose that is given to the back through the limbs. The arms and legs generate the pose, the back receives it. Walk your hands back up, sit your hips down, lift your head up, rest for a moment. So you know how they always try to teach us, like somewhere around junior high, they start teaching us how to accept compliments? Because people are like, you're so nice, and you're like, no, I'm not. So teach your back how to receive this pose. Don't let it get in its own way. And teach the legs and the arms how to give this pose and be generous. Again, tush back. Heels on the chair, lean back, hook your thumbs, let the chest be lifted. This is a more passive experience. Shoulders down, elbow tips down. Big breath in. Exhale, heels down, hips up. Head back, reach back. Now find the wall and push. Get the arms straight. Deliver energy through the arms. If it's available, you can walk your hands further down. Push through the heels. Push through the arms. Let your back receive the momentum. Suck the hamstrings up away from the pits of the knees. Lift the buttocks. Suck the shoulder blades up away from the ears. Bring the skin of the mid-back toward the shoulder blades. The currents collide and the chest opens. Walk your hands up. Sit down. Rest. If the first two went well and you're like, oh, I love this, I want more, then you can actually scoot your chair a little closer to the wall. The closer the chair gets to the wall, the more your body will be compelled to go deeper into the back bend. So if that doesn't sound appealing, then don't scoot your chair back. One more time. Heels on the chair. Scoot your little falafel into your pita. Hook your thumbs. Long and strong through the belly. Chest up. Big breath in. Heels down, hips up. Head back. Arms back. Push. This is a pushing pose. Push through the arms. Push through the feet. Suck the hamstrings up and toward the sitting bones. Strong buttocks. If you can walk your hands lower, walk your hands lower. It's also fine to have your hands quite wide. Now scoop your biceps and your shoulder blades up away from the ears so your neck can get longer and feel less congested. Triceps toward the hands, biceps toward the shoulder. Walk your hands up. Sit down and rest. So now we'll do Urdhva Dhanurasana without the chair and see how that goes. And if you'd like to, you could repeat it with the chair. And we'll do it 2 times. And if you don't want to use the chair, you could go back to doing Chatushpadasana, where we grab the ankles or stepped on the palms of the hands. So you have a lot of choices. You can make good choices for yourself. If you're interested in doing Urdhva Dhanurasana, come down onto your back. Walk your heels up towards your buttocks and maybe a little bit wider than your hips. Bend your elbows and put your hands alongside your, sort of under your shoulders, a little bit, maybe even a little bit wider. And I always like to turn my hands a little bit out. That gives me more freedom of access in my shoulders. Now just here, move the shoulder blades away from the ears and the skin of the mid-back towards the shoulder blades. So you can start to lift the heart already. Big breath in. It's almost all the same actions. Push the feet, lift the hips up. Big breath in. And exhale, push the hands, come to the top of the head. Shoulders back and up. Big breath in and exhale, push the hands and lift up. Now here we go. This pose is a donation to the heart from the arms and legs. Hamstrings up and towards the sitting bones. Buttocks up. Triceps toward the hands. Biceps toward the shoulders. Shoulder blades up. Skin of the upper back scurries from the waist to the roof of the mouth. Look down. Grip with your feline hands. Push into the floor. Push into the feet. And then release. And come down. You really want to feel this thing of like the currents in the ocean. In Urdhva Dhanurasana, the energy is rushing from the backs of the knees, along the hamstrings toward the tailbone, and from the mid-back, from the waist toward the head, and from the roof of the mouth toward the crown of the head. So there's the underside, sort of undercurrent of the pose is swooshing towards the hand, and then the top current is going towards the feet. Let's try it again. One last time. Walk your feet in. Plant your hands. Turn the hands out a little. Push into the feet. Hips up. Big breath in. Exhale. Push to the hands. Come to the top of the head. Move your shoulders back and lift the shoulder blades up. Big breath in. Exhale. Push into the hands and lift up. Now, here comes the current. Suck the hamstrings towards the sitting bones. Suck the back ribs toward the neck. Roof of the mouth toward the crown of the head now. Triceps toward the hands. Biceps towards the shoulders. Shoulder blades away from the floor. Quadriceps to the bone, toward the knees. Push. Smear your PB&J. Smear the hamstrings toward the sitting bones. Smear the quadriceps toward the knees. And then release down. And rest. Being in an asana is like doodling. There's no right or wrong in the sense of how the energy travels. We can explore the movements of the energies with a lot of creativity and leeway. So if my PB&Js and currents feel contrary, you could try doing other things that work for you. We're looking to find the currents that exist in our own energetic body, tap into them and promote them, encourage them to grow and develop. Extend your left leg out straight and draw the right knee in. And again, not in a forceful way, just like at the very beginning of class, not being forceful, just bringing some length into the low back. Switch. Bring the left knee in. Extend the right leg out. Switch again. Right knee in. Left leg out. And then switch again. Left leg in, right leg out. Draw the abdominal area in so it's just a little bit hollow and energetically long. It doesn't matter what your actual physical form. It doesn't matter, that your belly, if you have a big belly, then you can still love your great big belly, but energetically just draw it in. Good, release. Roll to your side and come up to sitting. And sit in Urdhva Dhanurasana. Legs out, wide apart. I think it's getting cut out of view from there, but we'll work with it. Legs out wide apart, and this pose now I think will depend for different bodies who are watching this video. You might feel better really legitimately leaning back. What we're looking to find is an opportunity for the spine to be long and the legs to be long. So this is a hard pose for you and you start to feel compressed here in the midsection, then it's not a satisfying experience. So give yourself the opportunity to just have a more neutral spine. Some of you will be able to achieve that with the hands alongside you or even the hands in front of you, but this is not a moment to deceive ourselves or have sort of ego-driven aspirations about what we wish we could do. This is a moment to take care of the back after the work gets done. So let the decisions that you make in this pose come from the sensations in your back and not from the thought contents of the mind. Take a big breath in and then exhale and twist toward the right leg. Stay upright. You can think of like a telephone pole and just turn on the axis of the spine. Stretch through the legs, quadriceps toward the bone from above, calf muscles towards the bone from below. Bring the head so the head is over the tailbone and not forward over the heart, bringing its weight down into the chest. Inhale back to the center. Exhale to the twisting to the left. Even here you can feel the back ribs, the skin of the back ribs ascending and the shoulder blades descending. Those actions are not quite as exaggerated or quite as muscularized as they are in Urdhva Dhanurasana, but they are still present here. Inhale, come back to the center. And then use your hands to support your legs coming back together. And I'm going to turn sideways. You don't need to turn on your mat necessarily. Come into Dandasana, staff pose, sitting upright, both legs extended out straight in front. I like to have a little height under my hips. Let the shoulder blades descend. Triceps toward the hands. Let the skin of the back ribs, like you've still got that strap from the very beginning of class, the skin of the back ribs lift. Quadriceps toward the bone. Calves toward the bone and out through the balls of the feet. Position the head over the tailbone. Feel that Dandasana is like a sponge, absorbing and integrating all the actions and efforts of your practice today. And then release and come into Shavasana. So sometimes after you've done back work like that, if you have a blanket and you can put under your hamstrings, such a nice feeling. I'm going to put a blanket here for my head and then lie down. Just slide that blanket right up against your sitting bones and then extend the legs out straight. And just that little bit of support under the hamstrings can really feel luxurious. Push into the elbows for a moment. Lift your midsection midsection and bring your lower frontal ribs down and the skin of the back ribs a little bit away. Press the shoulders down and then keep the space and let the pressing action subside. Let your tongue come down away from the roof of the mouth. Let the eyes close. Let your jaw soften. And be in Shavasana. And if you have time and you'd like to stay in Shavasana, then by all means stay put. Otherwise, bend your elbows and let your hands rest on your chest or your abdomen. Let your knees bend, bring your feet to the floor. And then roll to your side. Let your head be supported either with your arm or with your pillow, something nearby. And then use the arms and press yourself up and come up to sitting. Thanks for practicing with me today. I hope you enjoyed the practice. Anytime when you're working from video, of course you can stop and spend more time with the pose or fast forward through poses you don't want to spend time with. And of course we always have permission to fine-tune the practice to meet our needs. So thank you for practicing. I hope it was worthwhile for you. We'll end with one round of Om. Take a full breath in, full breath out. And then again, a full breath in. Thank you, everyone.